Hey, Bunkin fans, it's Strickland, the other half of the Nice Guys on Business. Doug recently interviewed Steve Shevlin, founder and CEO of Emerging Global Services, and Steve has written an amazing report called 3 Steps to Staffing and Retaining a Winning Team, and you can get it free through a link in our show notes. Here is Doug and Steve talking a little bit more about it.
Tell me a little bit about the origin of Emerging Global and where you guys think that you've been successful when it comes to hiring and retaining people.
It's all about finding great talent. Having a successful company is all about tapping into great people.
Steve, where do you think that most people fall down on the job when it comes to not only retaining good people, but finding good people to begin with?
It has a lot to do with their own passion for their own business. And does that come through in an interview? You're interviewing them, but they're also interviewing you. They want to know, is this person passionate? I'm the owner of a company, so I'm going to be naturally excited and passionate about what I do.
So the information is in 3 Steps to Staffing and Retaining a Winning Team. And I found as I was reading the 3 steps that whether you're brick and mortar, digital, entrepreneur, or corporate leader, it actually fits into any environment. Why do you think that that is so?
Because in all those environments, you're dealing with people. And they all need to be managed. They all need to be motivated, developed, invested in. All of these things are true to every great company. Great organizations have great people behind it.
Steve, I want to ask you about 2 numbers. 1,257, which is the episode number that you're on the Nice Guys on Business. And secondly, 3, as in 3 steps to staffing and retaining a winning team. Where did you come up with the 3? And how do you know that these are like the tried and true 3?
I've been doing this for 30 plus years. And so it's a lot of sweat equity. It's a lot of hard knocks. It's a lot of work. And it is some reading and some education along the way. There's no doubt. Trial and error as well.
So check out episode 1257 on the Nice Guys on Business, where Steve and I have a conversation on everything that it takes to get and retain a quality staff. And then download his document, 3 Steps to Staffing and Retaining a Winning Team. Thanks for being here, Steve.
Thank you so much.
You see, Danny, there's a force in the universe that makes things happen, and all you have to do is get in touch with it. Stop thinking, let things happen, and be the ball. Or be the Nice Guys on Business. Either one is good. Go from where you are now to where you could be. Get expert tips to grow your business, to be more productive and more efficient, whether you're trying to build influence, grow your community, or make it rain. Best-selling author of Nice Guys Finish First, Doug Sandler, can lead the way. The Nice Guys on Business is produced by Turnkey Podcast Productions. Now, here's your host, Doug Sandler.
From high school basketball to 9 years as a pro ball player to a 4-time TEDx speaker and a 29-time author. I mean, this is the overachiever of all overachievers, and I thought I was the guy that was striving for success. If you want to amass a following like today's guest, Dre Baldwin, check out his 138,000 YouTube subscribers, 15,000 Instagram followers, and over 3 million listens to his podcast, Work on Your Game, and a unique approach that landed him right here on the Nice Guys, which we'll talk about. Let's get your mind moving and your energy closer to the I'm best mentality. Let's take a dive into the world of Dre Baldwin. Welcome, Dre, to the podcast.
Oh, thank you for having me, Doug. I'm excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you here, man. And I was checking out just some of the early stages of your, maybe one of your first videos on YouTube, just to see where you've progressed through the years. Man, you've accomplished a huge amount. What drives you? I mean, you have 2,000 episodes of your podcast. You have hundreds of YouTube videos. I mean, that's somebody that wakes up every day excited to do what he does. So what excites you? What motivates you?
Man, it's just I've always been an ambitious person, always looking to take the next step and keep moving forward. I never wanted to see myself as someone I never want to look at myself and say, damn, I was better 2 years ago, or I was better 5 years ago, or have somebody look at me and say, hey, I remember when he used to be good, or when he used to be, on point and, moving forward. So I always have seen myself as someone who would, always progressing. And every time you see me, I want to be doing better than I was doing the time before. Even coming out of the sports world, where a lot of times athletes, they don't, when they get done being an athlete, it starts to go downhill because it's hard to surpass that peak. But I always saw myself as doing more than just any one thing, but always moving forward no matter what.
It's easy to say, harder to do, and you certainly have done. And I've watched, I've seen, not that I've been following you for long, but since your assistant or PR company or publicist, whoever it was that reached out to me, I'm like, I gotta check out what Dre is all about, and amazing job. I want to quote a couple of things that you said on your in your Facebook page, and I want you to maybe just share a little bit how this has become maybe your just your motto, the thing that you have really attached yourself to in life. I'm going to read two of them, and I want you to comment on both of them. We'll take one at a time. Here's one of them. There's no such thing as too much confidence. You're better off taking your self-belief too far than not taking it far enough. That's number one. The second one, be, say, or do what you want, or lose your fear of standing out. Wasted potential, especially due to fear, is the greatest tragedy in life. So I want to talk about the too much confidence thing. How can you, doesn't it come across sometimes as an ego if you have too much confidence?
Yes. And, you said you were going to read something on my Facebook page. I know I posted a lot of stuff on there. I hope I remember what I said. But I do remember saying that.
I read it to you, so we're good.
Yes, I do remember saying that. And too much confidence not being a problem. Actually, one of my TED Talks is actually about that exact topic, because, confidence is a thing that, being in, I talk about mindset. Even coming from the sports world, I get a lot of athletes would ask me about mindset, and that's really where it started. And many people, when I would tell them, hey, here's how you can take your confidence to the highest level. And I tell athletes all the time, you got to get yourself in a frame of mind before you step on that field or that court, that there is no one in the world better than you at that thing. Even if you're a high schooler trying to make the JV team, you're the best player in the world when you step on that court. You need to have that mentality, because it will loosen you up and it will open you up to unlock all of your abilities. The way that I describe to people confidence is kind of like having a house with a bunch of bedrooms in it. But when you lack confidence, it's as if each one of those bedrooms has one of your skills. But when you don't have confidence, it's like you lost the key to each room. So if you have 10 skills, but your confidence is only halfway, you can unlock 5 of the doors, but you can't unlock the other 5. So then you have skills that you just can't access. You still have them, but you can't access them. And that leads to a high level of frustration. And this is what happens to people when they have performance anxiety, or when they feel like, I know I can do this thing, but I'm just not doing it. I'm sure you've heard people say that. I hear people say that all the time. Mm-hmm. And that part of that is not always coming from confidence, but a lot of times it's just a lack of confidence because a person just hasn't practiced the ability, or they don't know how to access the ability when they need to have it on call. So as far as too much confidence not being a problem, what I tell people, even when I give speeches and I talk about confidence, is the following. Human beings are imperfect creatures, Doug. And we're never going to have it. There's no such thing as the perfect balance of confidence. I don't believe in it. I also don't believe in fake it till you make it, because if you tell yourself that you're faking something, eventually it's kind of like Cinderella. That clock's going to strike 12 and you go back from the beautiful ball gown, you go back to the rags. So you don't want to be faking anything. You want it to actually be who you are. You want to become it rather than fake it. And if you're going to make a mistake, which as human beings we all will, would you rather make the mistake of not believing in yourself enough, not speaking up when you have something to say, not throwing your hat into the ring when you see an opportunity? Or would you rather make the mistake of believing in yourself too much, going too far, maybe speaking up too often, and just putting yourself out there more than you want to put yourself out there? And the funny thing is, Doug, I pose that question rhetorically whenever I give speeches to live audiences. And I say, okay, I want you to think of all the times when you didn't have enough confidence, all the times you didn't speak up, you didn't say anything, you didn't try when you saw the opportunity. Mm-hmm. Think all the times that happened. Then I want you to think of all the times you believed in yourself too much, or you thought too highly of yourself. You tried too hard. And people usually laugh in spite of themselves because they can't even think of an example of that ever happening. But people always get nervous about, well, I don't want to be too confident. And I tell them, you feeling like you might become too confident is like a person who's never been to the gym worrying about having too big muscles. So I don't want my muscles to be too big before we start this. I'm like, wait, why don't you learn where the gym is at first? Then we can worry about your muscles being too big.
Well, let me ask
you this. So that's my response to too much confidence.
No, I appreciate that, and I appreciate the metaphors or the analogies, because I think it's really important to understand exactly what you are saying. The guy that complains about, he's worried about his muscles are going to be too big, but he has yet to pay the first month of his gym membership. Yeah, exactly. I can understand that. How do you help somebody understand the difference between, and maybe you don't have to help them understand it because it's a problem that usually works itself out, but how do you help somebody, if you need to, understand the difference between too much confidence and an ego, or not enough, or confidence in an ego. Because some people in the entrepreneurial space, an ego will work to their advantage. It helps with business development. It helps with marketing. It helps with putting teams together. In the corporate world, sometimes that really it throws you on your ass, because some people, management does not necessarily like overconfident or egotistical people. So help define those for me, if you would.
Absolutely. So first of all, we just have to understand what ego is, which is simply your sense of self. It's knowing who you are as a person and what makes you unique from other people out there. Now, having a sense of ego does not necessarily mean that you're always walking around as if you're better than other people. And we all have to understand, even in the sports world, a team has a pecking order, just like in a corporate world. Every team has a pecking order. So only one person can be Michael Jordan, right? Only one person can be LeBron or Steve Jobs or Jeff Bezos. Everyone else has the falling line. And part of having a healthy ego is not just thinking about how great you are, but is also understanding where am I in the hierarchy of every organization that I'm a part of? And you have to know how to play your role. In the sports world, athletes, everybody's a role player is what I tell athletes all the time. Even if you're the best player, your role is to score all the points. If you're the towel boy or the water boy, your role is to hand the players the towel when they come out of the game. Everybody has to play their role. And if anyone doesn't do their job, then nobody can do their job as best that they can. So having a healthy ego does not mean that you always have to think you're better than people. It's also understanding when you need to fall back, when you might need to scale back what you're doing to better help the team. Because the object of the game, no matter we're talking business or we're talking sports, we're talking family, we're talking life, the object of the game is to win. And winning does not always mean everybody has to think they're the best. Winning means everyone playing their role so that the team can do the best thing that the team is going to do. And that's following the overall strategy to help the team win. So everyone needs to know what that is. And that's the responsibility of the leader.
One of the things that you talk about is wasted potential, especially due to fear, is the greatest tragedy of life. Why do you think it is that people put themselves in a position to waste their potential? Because there are so many people that are out there. Maybe you can explain it a little bit better than I would.
Man, the way that people, and is similar to what we just talked about when it comes to confidence, is that people are more afraid, I've found, Doug, especially once they already have the basic, let's say, foundational level skill set. Someone has a skill set. Someone who's listening to this show, I mean, they are obviously about something. They're going somewhere. Otherwise, they wouldn't be listening to a show like this. Most of the time, once people have the basic level skills in place, what holds them back is more of a fear of succeeding than it is a fear of failing.
Wow.
They don't want to go but so far, because once you start going further and once you start getting better, especially in the business world, the better you do, the more attention you draw to yourself. You don't even have to be trying to. People are going to notice you. People are going to start attacking you. People are going to try to knock off what you're doing in business. They're going to try to steal some of your market share. People are going to start looking at you and trying to find flaws in you simply because you can't be perfect. You can't be that much better than me. There has to be something that can pull you down a little bit, even if it's in another person's mind. And many of us, we understand this subconsciously, if not consciously. So to avoid that scrutiny and to avoid those possible attacks and to avoid the attention that more success may draw, we self-sabotage our own success so that we don't draw that attention from the masses. And this is the biggest thing that holds a lot of us back, is that we are concerned with how other people may respond to or react to our success if we get too much of it. So this is kind of like the analogy that I use, Doug, is driving with the emergency brake on. So we're moving forward, but you got the brake on, right? And if you had an emergency brake on and you, at least in the older cars, not the electronic emergency brakes, but the ones where you pull the little handle, if you press the gas hard enough, the car will still move forward, but it's not moving as fast as it, not possibly anywhere close to as fast as it could. And this is how a lot of people are living their lives. They're driving with that emergency brake on and then asking themselves, hey, Doug, hey, Dre, why am I not getting more success faster? Well, you know why. But until you emotionally are willing to address that and dig into it, you're going to keep moving at a slower pace than you could. And before you know it, the time's up.
So as you're listening to this, whether you're listening through the Turnkey Podcast or Nice Guys on Business right now, just know that the process and the theories that Dre is talking about, these aren't just book theories. These are things that he's actually put into play with his life. He has, you're not watching this on video right now if you're listening to the audio, but just the way he approaches the podcast, extremely professional, really, really understands his topic. I mean, anybody that's had the patience and the ability to write 20, how many books? 29 freaking books. You can't, you got to be in how old are you? You're not even in your 30s yet, are you? How old are you? Can I ask that question? Am I allowed to ask that question?
More than that, yes.
All right. Well, you're doing extremely well. As I don't need to tell you that, you know that, and if I didn't tell you that, it wouldn't matter because you don't care what the fuck I think anyway. So that's okay. Hey, I want to talk about something else because right now we're living in a world that is filled with victims because we're dealing with this just beginning to emerge out of this whole world health crisis with COVID. One of the things that you say, and it may create a little bit of controversy for those that are in our listening community, but hell, let's do it. Victims are losers. As long as you're alive, you can always do something about your situation, even if it's only changing how you think about the situation. I want you to talk about that, and you don't have to defend it. I want you to just lean into it and tell me what that means.
Oh, I'll defend it, lean into it, however you want to discuss it. So,
okay.
I don't know who could be listening that could be offended by that. Who wants to feel like a victim? I don't know if anybody. I know that. Yeah, I mean that's
people that will say, Dre. People that will say, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but people that will say, yeah, but you don't understand my situation. That's it. I mean, it's like you don't understand. I mean, we have a free course that requires somebody to put down pardon my expression, a fucking seat deposit of $297 just to ensure that they show up. And people are complaining, and they get it back as soon as they go through the class after 4 weeks. They're complaining that they won't pay the $297. Can they have a scholarship for the scholarship I've already given them? Those because they've been through all of life's situations. I've been in a car accident. I have a medical issue. My mom's doing this. I'm like, no, I'm not going to say pardon my. Fuck that. I mean, I don't even get that. How can somebody say that and then expect I'm giving away all my content? I don't get it when somebody says, hey, I've been a victim of this. They don't say I've been a victim. So I agree with the philosophy. I just want to know where you're coming from with it. Victims or losers. Go ahead.
Sure. And it's the main idea, which you quoted later in that statement, is that in life, 99% of what happens to us, we do not control. You don't control the weather. I reached out to you about being on Nice Guys. I didn't control whether you responded or not, or how you responded. I don't control what another person's going to do. I don't control, if somebody buys something from me and then they get it and then they try to do a chargeback through their credit card company. I don't control any of that. The only thing that I can control, the one thing I can control is my mindset at all times. I can always control how I think about a situation. And a victim, I don't mean a victim in a technical sense. Like, for example, if I'm driving my car and somebody rear ends me, technically I'm the victim of a rear ender. Right? Technically I am a victim. I don't mean a victim in that way. I mean a victim in your mindset, which is you're looking at a situation and saying the circumstance is stronger than my thought process, meaning this circumstance is set up in such a way that nothing even that I think can overcome what happened to me. That's the victim mentality that I'm talking about in that statement. And many people have started to adopt this lately, and it's almost become the cool thing. Being a victim is like the new trophy. To be a victim, you can hold that up and say, hey, look, everybody, look what happened to me, instead of how it used to be not too long ago. Hey, look what I did. Now it's look what happened to me. And that's been the cool thing. That's the wave that's going right now. I think that wave will eventually end. I hope it will. And people like yourself and myself, Doug, and others, we are fighting to get rid of it. But I never, ever would allow myself or anyone around me to see themselves as a victim, because we can always at least change the way we think about something, even if we can't change what we do about it or what someone or something else does towards us.
One of the other things I want to talk about is again, I'm going back to your Facebook post, which was a great post, Dre's top 10. Set yourself up with an unfair advantage. You don't want to fight fair fight. Life isn't always fair. You want to fight that you can win. Play the game where you have the advantage. I love that. I love it. I love it because I feel like that has been my whole philosophy on growing not only my own personal life, but my business life as well. It's like, hey, look, I play a straight life in a crooked world, and it's just not going to happen. You gotta play the game to your advantage. So share with our community your philosophy on set yourself up with an unfair advantage.
My mother and father are 5'7" and 5'8" respectively. I'm 6'4", and they are biological. We did the tests and everything. Right? Right. So So these are my actual parents. Now, had I become the same height as my mom or my dad, or the average of the two, I probably would not have become a basketball player. And, my whole story would have happened completely different. Who knows, we'd be having this conversation right now. And this is something that I tell to athletes all the time, and I tell to entrepreneurs as well, is that you have to figure out where you have what I like to call the ethical unfair advantage. Meaning you are not violating another person's rights. You're not breaking any laws or doing anything that you would see as immoral, but you're looking for where you have an advantage over your counterparts, over your peers, and over the competition, and pressing on that advantage. This is what all smart people do. And there have been a lot of companies, corporate, and just known people who are throwing around this phrase equality a lot and talking about, well, we had to have equitable outcomes. That is impossible. It's scientifically impossible for everybody to get the same outcome because not everybody's the same. Not everyone starts from the same spot. We don't all have the same odds, and we're not all going to get to the same results. I mean, the weather where you are is not the same as the weather where I am. It's just different in different places. So each of us needs to figure out, where do you have an advantage? This is the key, is that every human being has an ethical unfair advantage in some aspect of life. The challenge is, many of us, going right back to the victims conversation, many of us spend our lives looking at the food on other people's plates, looking at how someone else has an advantage. And then we see, well, I don't have the same advantage as them, so that must mean something is wrong. No, you're looking for the wrong thing. You're asking yourself the wrong question. So if I was 5'9", I shouldn't be looking at 6'5" basketball players and wondering why I'm not tall like them. I should figure out, where do I have an advantage that I could beat the basketball guys at? I just need to take them off of that terrain and put them on terrain that I can win on. Like Sun Tzu talks about in The Art of War. You got to fight the battle on terrain that you can dominate, right? Not on their land. You want to fight on your land. And this is what all smart people do. They figure out, where do I have an advantage? And they play the game where they can win. You don't play the game somewhere that you can't win. As the old analogy says, a fish is a genius in water, but outside of water, not so much. So you just have to know where you can win.
Or as Spud Webb would say, give me the ball. I don't care how short I am.
Right, exactly.
That's amazing. All right. So before I hit record, I said to you, hey, tell me what would be a win for our community to do. And I'm hoping that you can repeat what you said before we got started recording. You have a special link that you want people that are in our community to hopefully go to and see a little bit more about what you do and how you do it. So where can my community go, and what would be a win for them to do in listening today?
Sure. So anyone who's listening, and this is specifically for listeners of the Nice Guys podcast who would like to have a direct conversation with me, I'm happy to do that. Only with listeners of this show, you have to go to this link. It is workonyourgameuniversity.com/niceguys. That's one word, workonyourgameuniversity.com/niceguys. Just fill out a quick form. I will send you a link to my calendar. You can get on the schedule, and we will have a direct conversation about whatever challenges you're dealing with, anything that we've talked about here that learned about me that you feel like I can help with. I'll be happy to talk to listeners of the show.
So as I was doing, again, a little bit of research on Dre Baldwin, I found out some more information, and there are not many people that will come on to the Nice Guys or our Turnkey podcast and actually have more episodes than we have. We're celebrating somewhere in around 1,000, 1,200 and something. I don't even remember. It's over 1,000 episodes of our show. You have 2,000 episodes. It looks like you even do a daily podcast. Is that correct? And how long you've been doing it? What are you doing? What's it about?
Yeah, so my show is called Work on Your Game, if you couldn't guess. It's a daily solo show, so it's just me. So it's kind of like the radio, but it's not 4 hours a day. It's only about 20 to 30 minutes every single day. And I talk about a lot of the things that you've asked me about here, Doug. So it started on the foundation of discipline, confidence, mental toughness, and personal initiative. Those are the 4 pillars of the Work on Your Game philosophy. And then just talking about the things that I notice in my life, things that people ask me questions about, the challenges that I see people have, the questions that people have that they don't even know they have. When you're talking to people and they say they have a problem, they think the problem is X, but the problem is actually A, B, and C. And I address those things. And I talk about the kind of stuff that I know people in my audience, maybe they want to talk about, but maybe for whatever reason, they can't talk about it out loud. They can't say it in so many words, or they don't want to. Those are the things that I talk about on my show. And yes, every day. And we are at almost 2,100 episodes. I know I've recorded over 2,100. We haven't put them all out yet, but that's
Amazing.
Where we're at today. So it's going since 2016.
Amazing, Dre, and I appreciate you sharing that, and your sheer tenacity and stick-to-itiveness in the game is I admire it. I mean, we thought we've accomplished some amazing things, and we look at some other people, and we're like, hey, we're just trying to just hold on to your coattails as you go flying down the road. So, talk to my community for just a moment. I'm going to give you a doctorate degree. You're now, you'd be Dr. Dre, or you'd be Dr. Baldwin.
There's already one of those.
There's already, all right, I'll make you Dr. Baldwin. So you're now Dr. Baldwin. What symptoms would someone in my community be experiencing if they thought now is the time for me to go to the doctor? I'm going to call Dr. Baldwin up and see what he's got to do to help heal me.
Number one thing that people come to me with as a challenge is inconsistency. So this is not a person who doesn't know what to do. They have a pretty solid idea, or at least somewhat of a grasp of what they need to do and even how they need to do it. The challenge is they haven't been able to move themselves to do it as consistently as they want to do it. And they feel like they just need someone to be a foot in their ass, someone who will call them out and make sure that they're doing the thing that they're doing. And knowing that they have to get on a Zoom call with me and look me in my face or talk to me and say, hey, Dre, last week I didn't do that thing I said I was going to do, is enough to move them to action to actually get done the things that they want to get done. On top of the fact that maybe I might have some information that could help them do it better. So consistency, number one, because that's all about the discipline, and that's the number one pillar of my whole thing. And people see, hey, you put out a show every single day, videos every single day. People can tell that I'm pretty disciplined. So usually when they say inconsistency, they want someone to help them with the discipline.
All right. Sorry. Go ahead. No, you go. I'm listening.
All right. The number two thing, and it goes right along with the discipline, is accountability. And this is having someone who can say to you, okay, why did you not do this thing? All right, let's make sure we get this thing done. And not only, it's not just like some drill sergeant breathing down somebody's neck, because even if you hire someone to be a coach, or you buy somebody's book, or you join their program, like you have programs, though, just because somebody's in your program doesn't mean they have to do anything that you say. Like, they still have to choose to do it. Mm-hmm. So the accountability part is me not only helping people understand, okay, here's the thing that you didn't do. They already know that part. They knew that before they came to me. It's how do we put strategies in place to make it easier? Because I'm not a rah-rah type of guy. I'm not the church preacher going to scream in your face, how bad do you want it? That's not my style. I don't respond to that, and I don't give it out. So what I help people understand is that discipline is not about you just calling on more and more willpower to make yourself do something that you don't want to do. It does not work over the long term. You can force yourself to do something today, but you're not going to do it every day. You're not going to do it consistently. What you need is a strategy. When you have the strategies in place, you can be disciplined. And the strategy actually is the guardrails. They are the guardrails that hold you accountable. So we just got to put those strategies in place and make sure you implement them and follow them. Now you're disciplined, and it doesn't feel like, no, you're pulling teeth. So those are the top two things, is the consistency and the accountability. And then the third thing is, going right along with that, is the strategy. So this is someone who is, again, they want to be more consistent. They want to be held accountable, and they want to know, all right, what strategies can I put in place for this? I'm not working out every day, because when work starts to get overwhelming, I'll skip my morning workout and just go into work 2 hours early. But now I've gained 20 pounds over the last 6 months. So how can I undo this? How can I lose the weight, keep the weight off, and still do the things I need to do at work? But again, I'm not going to be the drill sergeant blowing a whistle in your ear. What I'm going to do is, let's figure out how we can strategize. And you can get that in. Let's look at what you're eating. Let's look at how much water you're taking in. Let's look at what your workouts are. And let's figure out how all of these things can happen at the same time. You're being consistent, you're being held accountable, and you're implementing strategies that actually work. So it's usually those three things as the top three: consistency, accountability, and strategy.
Love it, man. Totally inspiring. And speaking of which, who inspires you? Where did you get your inspiration to even, a lot of people just have a tough time getting out of bed in the morning, and you're getting out of bed, moving at 100 miles an hour every single day, consistently for decades. How have you done that, and where were you inspired?
Man, well, I never had any person that I looked up to as like an idol, or I would say, I'm sure I was inspired by some people as athletes, maybe musicians that I listened to, but I would first have to give credit to my parents. My mother is the one that I get the discipline gene from. Mm-hmm. She was very strict as far as, you're going to go to school, get good grades, do well in school, all that stuff, do your chores every day. No, going outside or playing video games on school nights. So all of the discipline stuff comes from my mother. And just from both of my parents, just seeing them every day, they were not entrepreneurs and they were not athletes, but seeing them every day just wake up and go to work. And they never preached about it, but I know there were times they didn't feel like going to work. Yeah. There were times they were taking public transportation to work because they didn't even have cars all the time. And I'm from Philadelphia, so we had the snow, the rain, all of that. And they would still get up and go to work every day. And when I got on the basketball court, Doug, I took that same discipline that I saw my parents modeling and going to their 9-to-5s, and I just took that to the sports world. And then I took that same discipline that helped me work in sports and I applied it in the business world. And hopefully, I think it's worked out. So I'll have to give credit to my parents as far as planting the seed.
Well, Dre, I certainly appreciate you being on the show, and your work, it precedes you in amazing, incredible, what you're doing with not only with your clients, but with the messages that you're sharing with the world. Totally inspiring. I so appreciate you being on, not only on the Nice Guys All in Business, but on the Turnkey podcast as well. I had to, as soon as I saw you had a podcast with 2,000 plus episodes, I'm like, I got to get this guy on that show as well. So we're going to put this on that channel too. If there is any advice that you would give to the podcasters that are out there, I know it sounds like consistency is, creating a consistent message with quality content. Those are probably two great things. What advice would you give to somebody that's either starting a podcast or thinking about, continuing on, or thinking about maybe even laying off of the episodes because it's not working for them?
Well, definitely both of the things you said, consistency and quality content. Those definitely work on the internet. And the other thing is figuring out, how do you carve out your space? And it's one thing that I tell people is that, I'm sure you've probably heard of or read the book, The Blue Ocean Strategy. And when it comes to that strategy, you don't want to sound like, and you want to make sure that you're not sounding like everybody else who's out there, putting out the same material that everybody else is. And what I found is a lot of newer people, Doug, you've probably seen this yourself, when people are new stepping into the world now, because there's already so many doing whatever, podcasting, writing, whatever, they try to fit into what is already going on. And the problem with that is you sound like everybody else, and we don't really need you because you're just a repetitive. And these other people have been out for 5 years. So why do I even need to listen to your show? I'm listening to Doug's show for 5 years. And you sound just like him. What do I need you for? He's better than you. He's been around longer than you. So you need to figure out, how can you can still talk about a subject that people are already talking about, but what makes you different? Can you take something that Doug talks about and say, well, I disagree with how Doug said it. Let me tell you how I see it, and then be able to stand on it. Now you can carve out your space. So we call that throwing rocks at the establishment. So you got to figure out how you can throw rocks at the establishment, but at the same time, don't be so different that people can't understand you. But a lot of people just don't have the balls to do that, and they end up fading into oblivion. That's usually what happens.
Yep, I completely agree. Thank you for that little bit of wisdom in the world of podcasting. Very much appreciated. Thanks for sharing your message here on Nice Guys and Turnkey Podcast today, and for sharing your time with our community.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity, Doug. Thank you.
Nice Guy community, never underestimate the power of nice. Turnkey Podcast community, keep those episodes coming out consistently with quality content. That is the way to charge forward in the podcasting space. Steve O'Brien, go ahead and take us out of here.
For Doug, Strickland, the Nice Guys on Business podcast, I'm Steve O'Brien. Yo, bartender, Jobo needs a refill.